And you are watching the day in the life of a Chinese grandma. My Chinese grandma. 哎呀，打个招呼。Meet 75-year-old Sun Meihua. And at 5:30 in the morning, her day is just getting started. She begins every single day the same way, by making her bed.
我换新的，我自己呢，就这么简单的。
Oh look, and this is a tiaoshu, a traditional northern Chinese sweeping tool used to clean beds and brush clothes. It's normally made out of straw and can last decades.
在家扫窗户买的，完了把枕头啥都整得规规矩矩的。
She lives alone in this little apartment that she got from her work unit back in the late 1970s. Back then in China, most people didn't buy homes. Your company basically assigned you one. It was called the Danwei system. You worked there and they took care of things like housing and basic benefits. The apartments were small, but for her generation, it meant stability, and she's lived here ever since. Oh, so this is one of the heaters. Is it warm?
都热乎。你摸，这是最后一组。
And this is another one, so there's like 2, 3.
那个这是最后一组，那是第一组。
How many of them are in total?
一个5、6个。
Oh wow, so 3 in total? How much do you pay for utility bills every year?
一年1000块钱用不了的用。你奶奶多少都提前把钱交。
Like a lot of older Chinese people, my grandma absolutely loves her hot water. There isn't really any science behind it, but she believes it's good for the stomach, good for the body, good for everything.
哎呀，烧白开水比你喝的都好。完，对着凉开水，天天自己烧，烧完了自己对。我们这行当一般的都知道，烧了自己烧水。
And sure, younger people in big cities drink more cold water nowadays, but for her generation, hot water is still the #1 health secret.
完了洗脸，刷牙，卫生间去完了，烧一壶开水，完拜老佛爷。
拜老佛爷。
啊，老佛爷得天天拜，上香天天拜老佛爷。
So, is there a special way that you usually honor the Buddha?
老佛爷一定要尊敬老佛爷，衣服整齐的，干净点，脸洗完了，手洗完了，完了牙刷一刷，完了烧开水，完了给老佛爷。 这佛牌啥的都得干净净的。你这个牌啊，水果，不管供什么样馒头啥的，必须供好。我都买的好点的，就是挺新鲜的。完了拜佛爷。
Although most people in China today would probably call themselves non-religious, there are still many families like my grandma's who practice some form of Buddhism. It's usually not very formal, no strict rules or weekly services, and for the older generation, it's about simple daily routines, lighting incense, bowing, and just praying for health, safety, and a peaceful life.
有时间再上庙里。
对，极乐寺。
上极乐寺。是有天冷了上极乐寺拜佛。
And how often would you visit the temples?
早些1个月去好久，老去几天，现在天冷了我不咋去。夏天没事就去，去拜佛，祈求老佛爷保佑。
Normally, she'd start cooking breakfast around this time, but today she was really excited to show us what she bought on her last market trip.
我都现做现吃，看我买的萝卜，冬天吃。冬天萝卜，冬天1毛8分钱。多好啊！都包子吃，包饺子吃清淡的，有时候蒸一蒸，完了蘸点酱，蘸点鸡蛋酱。吃大葱，看我买的大葱。
Yeah, let's see it. It's so cold outside, it's as if you have a fridge.
看大葱 3毛多钱一斤，看我买的大葱。
Oh wow, that's a lot of green
大
onions.
葱这样的。你看我腌的小咸菜，
哎，看看。
看我腌的小咸菜，我这小咸菜腌的水水灵灵的，5毛钱一斤的小疙瘩，你看我腌的，你看。
把大灯给看一下。
你看我腌的咸菜多好
啊！
腌的可水了，回家炒着吃。冬天买点肉，炒点肉丝吃，腌的可干净了，你看。
对。
这真挺好。
对。And as you can see, she's extremely frugal, and this is actually pretty common among the older people in China. They grew up in a time when everything was scarce, so being careful with money just became their second nature. And what might be hard to believe is that she actually enjoys living like this.
真挺好，我晚上就开始做饭吃，做饭面条买的都现成，白面包饺子，就爱吃饺子，买点肉包饺子穿馒头，奶奶这家挺干净。
Yeah, it's actually really clean.
讲话太陈旧，我说实在的，凯文，咱要有的话，要是真是干啥的话，我冰箱什么，这个我就不乐意整。早像咱家也有冰箱，你就知道，我就不乐意整。好，一个是不乐意整，另一个我也是锻炼自己做饭。到80岁、90岁，我也要自己做饭。我孙子儿子不在家，我一定自己。
喜欢做饭，
这是
身体健康，对吧？
对，我一定自己，我把自己照顾好，不让我孙子儿子操心。
And just to reiterate how frugal she is, I bought her a pan about 5 years ago, and it's still in storage.
对，让我先使这个，也得换。
But where's the pan that I bought you?
在这个呀，你给奶奶买的锅在这个。
Still haven't used it?
但是我寻思这就开始拿出使来了。
Yeah, I think you should. The other one looks really old.
那锅真的旧了。
对，
这些都跟前都这不用的东西就先这么抹了，也别都扔了，你说是不是？对，都扔了，万一是用咱用不着。
But what is all of this?
旧物，都是旧物。这个是洗脚盆儿，
对，
这个是蒸碗，这有时候蒸点包子吃。
I know what you might be thinking. There has to be a reason why she lives like this. Maybe she doesn't have money or she's struggling in some way. But the truth is, she's perfectly fine. She used to work as a line cook, and today she gets a pension of around 3,500 RMB, roughly about $500 US. She just doesn't spend it. Most months she only spends $10 to maybe $20, and she saves the rest. And somehow always tries to give it to me whenever I visit. Back then, she used to give me 10, sometimes 20,000 RMB at a time. And trust me, she's got plenty saved up. It's just that this isn't about money at all. It's just her way of living. 早市的钱。
这些钱呢，凯文呢，我花这些钱。你呢？奶奶不给你买吃的呢？也不买这尝啥，你喜欢吃啥吃啥。你把这些钱拿着奶奶给你查一查多少钱，我也不查。那些钱你查一查。2400。不对。2400多少？你查，奶奶拿这些钱，咱俩分开花。然后你查。
4900。哎呀，你帮我放着，不是。Oh no！ 这样，我喜欢整份，我拿3000块钱，行吧？我拿3000，我拿3000。
这得600，那些都是600，我还有10天
3500行吧？太多了啊！我就拿3500啊！我拿，但是我拿3500。
管孙子多少都不分，咱俩要分就过。
A few moments later.
今天上早市，咱回来简单。
对，简单吃的。
别做的太多，因为咱俩还得回来。对，回去怕。
And as you can see, I definitely lost the battle. And as always, I just had to accept the gift. this is probably a really good time to mention that she lives in Harbin, often called the city of snow and ice. It sits in China's far northeast, not too far from the Russian border, and it's known for some of the coldest winters in the country. In January, temperatures here can drop to minus 40 degrees Celsius. In China, everything north of the Yellow River runs on centralized heating systems, and these are charged by square meter, and they're vital. They're key to just making daily life possible. But despite this extreme cold, this is still my grandmother's everyday routine. Walking to the markets, carrying groceries, moving at her own pace. For her generation and people living in northern China, you don't stop because of the weather. They're used to it, they adapt to it, and she's been walking these same streets for decades. Yeah, so this is where she lives. It's 7 stories tall with the first floor. Some of them, they would have shops. This guy, they're selling some, roasted goods inside there. Some are above, so this is like a cafe. How long does it take for you to get to the market?
12分钟就到了。
Wow, that's really quick and convenient.
对呀，到那来看看小吃，卖这个的卖那个，他一个小时到啥？他守着爱建，爱建吧，人家生活水平高。
Is Aijian the new area?
这个新盖的呢，都电梯房，那边哪个都是这个老头老太太上。
Just across the road, it's a completely different story. Aijian is a newer district that grew rapidly during China's property boom. Tall, high-rise buildings, modern apartments built for a new generation moving into the city. That contrast right next to each other really captures how fast China urbanized in the 2010s.
对呀，这就到了，哎，磨刀的。 挣钱的，磨一个5块钱。
你要不要跟他说点东西啊？
跟谁啊？
跟这个，你讲讲，分享话。
啊，上早市溜达溜达，和我孙子俩，溜达溜叫我孙子看看中国的早市什么样。高兴。跟我孙子俩出来溜达，一早上逛早市，有啥好吃的我们就买回家自己做。
给大家看看啊。
多好啊！
So these kind of morning bazaars, what we call 早市, are really, really popular in the northeastern regions of China. But basically, just in the northern side of China, they will have a lot of these. And as you guys can see, it has everything. Everything from food, that's always the popular one, and agricultural goods, where the farmers from neighboring cities, they come and sell it here. And even just within the city, especially the older suburbs, they would have more. The newer suburbs, like the one that we saw there, Aijian, so they wouldn't have this kind of markets. But look at this, so they sell the fish, they sell the seafood, they sell the meat, they sell the goods. But not even that, you'll see a lot of clothing, you'll see a lot of different types of just random things, like the place selling watches, the place selling shoes. And yeah, that's the essence of this Chinese morning market, right? And it's so interesting because some of these people are up at even like 3 in the morning. Like these guys are still offloading their cabbages, and it's always quite fresh and the quality is really good, but most importantly, it's super, super cheap. One thing that really amazes me is that I just see these old people come into the stores and they have like 1 RMB, which is, it's like 10 cents US dollars, which is crazy cheap, and they're buying a lot of goods. So that's how cheap this place can be. There's always some haggling that goes on here and there, and also, of course, the more fancy morning markets, they charge ever so slightly more expensive than the cheaper ones. But that's not really a real big difference, because the people that live here, especially like my grandmother, she would know exactly how much, 1 gram or a half kilo, because in China they use this metric called half kilo, and it's basically 500 grams, and so she would know exactly how much each of that item should cost. So that's always quite interesting. And when I say they sell everything here, I mean that quite literally. I saw this guy holding up entire geese, and I saw people selling things like seaweed, and then as I just walked inside, it just got weirder and weirder and just more surprising, to the point that I found someone selling durian. Durian is a Southeast Asian fruit that's should be very tropical, but here it is in the middle of northeast China. While I was exploring and taking it all in, my grandmother had already made her rounds throughout the market and bought everything she needed for a perfect hearty meal.
买好了，
买好了。
走。
And on our way back, we walked past one of her old co-workers' houses. So your colleague used to live here?
这是里头风景啥都挺好的。
And you guys used to hang out here a lot?
离咱家近。昨天来电话打听我，恼不恼火？我说恼火，他也别扭。
Do you guys often chat over the phone?
他老充电话。然后呢，单位那个他们每次干啥了？单位的事儿，谁啥样了？谁啥样了？那个谁多大岁数了？就老也不见面，都挺留意，都挺干啥的。
And maybe a secret to how she's so healthy is that she lives on the 7th floor, and every single day for her to get home, she has to climb a full 7 flights of stairs. And believe it or not, she actually really enjoys it. For her, it's a form of exercise. It's kind of hard to believe that it's not even 8 in the morning and she's already done so much. In Chinese culture, keeping busy is actually something to be proud of. And food is everything. We don't really say I love you, we say here, eat something. So that's her way of showing how she cares for you. And now this is when she starts cooking some sort of breakfast.
还有盐我少搁点吧，它就不那么咸。为啥我切细点？
What are you making here?
这是焖点大米饭，咱俩焖那么一小碗就够了。
Are these noodles? How long do you think these will last you?
最少我得吃2月，换面都在超市买，我这都在大超市买的。我不买在小粮店，鸡蛋我在小粮店买，豆油都在超市，不看不行。
Breakfast today is a little different from her usual, and that's mostly because I'm here with her. Normally, this is actually her biggest meal of the day. Lunch is smaller and dinner is usually very light. As you'll probably notice, it's mostly going to be vegetables and a few eggs. Part of that is because she genuinely believes it's healthier, but I can't help thinking that it's also because she is so frugal. But regardless, she is healthy and she's happy, and that's all that really matters. And it's also around this time where her niece phones in and checks up on her.
哎呀，可好了，我昨天在那吃。行了，我不说了，你好好的啊。我孙子奶奶做啥吃他都高兴。
Her husband unfortunately passed away more than 30 years ago, and since then she's lived mostly on her own. She still has siblings that she visits here and then, and that was normal for her generation. 7 brothers and sisters wasn't really that unusual back then. Even her mother lived into her late 90s, and just a couple of years ago, my grandma was still cooking and looking after her parents who were in their late 90s.
这是我不知道我孙子愿不愿意吃，这是大辣椒吃素，我们俩清淡吃大辣椒炒鸡蛋，辣椒挺好。完了，这是柿子炒鸡蛋，小咸菜清淡拌的辣椒油，拌咸菜。
就是把咸菜放到这里是吧？ Do you think there's a very big difference in the way that young people and old people live?
咱们在江这儿我是说唠嗑，老孙呐。说笑话，咱们就是说笑话，躲着远点吧，咱们上人都不行了，咱们老了，咱们上人家去，人家都干啥？人年轻人晚上12点不睡觉，咱们那个8点钟吃完饭就，最晚8点7点就睡觉，睡到2点都醒不了了，起来给人做饭，你都头发都掉的满眼是，头发都白了，人用不用你干啥的？那意思说人家怕你不卫生，你穿了个拖鞋。 吧嗒吧的，你影响人家睡觉。有时候我们唠嗑也就说这些，都说笑话。
If you're enjoying the video, please consider dropping a like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps a lot. And be sure to check out my behind the scenes video where I ask her even more questions about life as an elderly in China. I even get her to speak to some AI models and hear her thoughts on the modern AI world.
好一好就回来了。
You didn't think he'd be in South Africa for that long.
没想到你爸能在那嘎达，哎呀，孙子都抱回来了。
对。
你看不看那相片？他抱着你在那吃鸭乐。
有吗？给我看看。The reality is that it's pretty common for elderly people in China to live like this. Their children usually work in bigger cities where they have better jobs and higher pay, and they only come home a few times a year. And because times have changed so much between generations, our values has also changed a lot. Some of the beliefs my grandmother grew up with don't really fit today, but they're also so hard for her to let go of. For her generation, there wasn't much space to talk about what you wanted. It was always survival first, money first, family first. It was always about being practical. But my generation thinks differently. I value time, family, and just being together. And that's where things sometimes clash. Whenever I want to visit, she actually tries to stop me. To her, it feels like a waste of money, even though I know she really wants me there. And when I ask about my dad coming back, you can almost see her values pulling in two directions at once.
他要回哈尔滨讲话，我就不知道你们几口也不能分开呀。
没事，他住你跟他搬过去呗，搬了还见。
再说吧，那都以后的事。你看看你这张，你看看。这张挺有意思，你看这小样，这张有意思。你看这啊，
给我看这刀，
这个刀比你岁数都大。
Wow, how old is it?
1年多也多。买完进屋歇会儿就吃饭。
Done with breakfast by 8 o'clock?
8点都吃完了。
And then what do you do afterwards?
吃完了刷碗，收拾，完了。看看电视，休息一会儿，要没有啥事儿，上江堰，上江堰，有时候上庙里拜佛，心情好啊。这些以后我岁数大一大，你再拿，现在不要拿啊。现在不让拿。现在不要拿。高兴了，我下雨天了，我就在家翻，都看，现在不要拿。
After having breakfast, she will normally have a few hours to spare before having lunch again at around 12:30. So this is when she starts cleaning the house. And it's not because it's dirty, she just likes having things neat. For her, cleaning is part of staying active and part of keeping some order in the day.
清水了，像洗衣服水了，啥的，头的水了，干干净净纯的水了。哎呦，你就老讲话，不把水腰不脏了，你不带倒的。我就好头都抹吧，头都地板抹吧，刷拖鞋底儿了。对，把水头干了，有清水我就擦，但是买点水不擦，买点水擦地不行。但是过年过节了，我就开始大包了。我都擦墙，擦墙擦门，拍完照老擦。这个昨天我在家。在那个炉台里头那小扣，你看这炉眼都擦可干净，蹭可亮了。
And before I even noticed, she cleaned my entire shoe. And I think this is just one of the ways that she shows her love for me.
我也不上火了，都这么大岁数了，改变了，我早就改变了。我看我还不比，我还不擦，谁啥样我也不比，我也不看，自己能干啥样啥样，能啥样就啥样。这个瞅瞅这几个萝卜，开完我可高兴了。啊，
这几个萝卜吗？
红萝卜吉祥，你知道吗？
对啊，你看多。
我走到那嘎达哈，我老太太都买，我说给我要这2个萝卜，要多少钱？1块钱。
2 of them for 1 RMB。
2个大，这2个还是大的，我就拎着，我今天拎2个回来，明天拎2，一拎了这么些回来。那老太太说多买2个，我就可快了，3天就卖完了。买了2个大萝卜，1块钱。1块钱。岁数大了吧，就是看了而已。说不愿意验什么不回来不回来，但是吧，一说回来高兴，说不说真不回来了，还真不高兴了。但一寻思孩子那么忙，别给孩子添麻烦，忙忙叨叨的，再不理解孩子，又坐火车，又开车，你这边老年人说的，什么事不告诉孩子。 放心啊，俺们这些人都用不是。
As you can see, she's genuinely happy about something as simple as finding a really cheap radish. It's also really touching to hear her admit that she wishes we'd come back more often. But at the same time, whenever we do visit, she's the first one to chase us away. It sounds really contradictory, but that's just how it is. As a mother and as a grandmother, she's always thinking about what's best for her children. After looking through some old photos and spending some time with her and having a really quick lunch, we decided to head out again, this time to the river and the walking street where she usually likes to spend her afternoons.
啊，给小鸟吃。
给小鸟吃啊。
啊，那是米饭都没换。
It's around 1 p.m. right now, so we've had our lunch, and this is the time where Grandma would normally go for a little stroll, and she normally has a few options. When it's the summertime, she would go to the river, and that's where a lot of the old people gather and they have some conversation and just talk, and they gather, and that's quite nice. And another place that she goes to is one of the walking streets in the city, and 2 places where she goes. So today we're gonna go show you guys the river, and if we have some time, we'll probably show you a bit about the street as well. How long does it take for you to walk there?
只有都10多分钟、20多分钟再慢慢溜达。
What do you guys usually chat about?
对，你家几个孩子？我家几个孩子啊，都过得挺好的，都自己过，哎，自己过，都自己过，都这，都自己过，那不自己过咋整啊？
对，
吃也吃不到一起，睡也睡不到一起，说也说不到一起。对，身体好就行，能做饭能买菜就行。天天要操。
When you step back and look at it, it's actually a very simple mindset. For her generation, living this way is about 2 things: staying healthy and not becoming a burden on their children.
都说是跟他们玩儿少。
啊，年轻的时候也跳一会儿。
也会。
你会？
交际舞会。
给我跳一个。哎呀，挺会跳。哎。What we are seeing here in the square is actually a social thing. It's like a social dance. China's really safe. So the old people, they really like to gather together and they dance, they socialize, and it's just a very nice gathering for them. They stay healthy. They have a lot of time. The pension is obviously very good. So they don't have much to do. They don't really like traveling a lot. So sometimes they would join maybe like a tour and go to the neighboring city, but you obviously can't do that every single day. So during the normal days on the weekends, they come here and they end up dancing here in these squares or wherever is available. The architecture here is really nice. We are getting closer and closer to the river, and you can just see there's so many people, and most of them are elderly people, retired people, and they're just hanging out here. A lot of people are dancing, as you can see. There's people exercising.
现在下班上舞场。
Oh, you used to go to the ballrooms?
完了有人请你，这都有老头了，
没什么意思是吧？
叫院里人看。上家院吸氧，那不挺好吗？坐那夏天坐那唠唠嗑。
We are seeing over there. It's actually really funny. So they're all using whips. The one is to spin like a bell top almost, and the other one is just a whip. It's like, I think they swing their arms around for exercise. I think that's their main goal. But it's quite funny because they also make a really loud noise, almost like a gunshot, and it's really funny. That's what they do. We also had people packing up their kites. I think they come in the mid-afternoon and they use their kites, which is really cool. But yeah, it's actually really cold here now because we're very close to the river and there's a big breeze. And normally in winter, this river is completely frozen, so you could, in theory, walk across the river. And this is the mother river of not only Harbin city, but the entire Heilongjiang province.
空气好，完树就上哪找个树地方坐一坐，聊聊天。现在天4点钟就黑天了，我就3点多钟走一圈就回家了。天也冷了，回家躺一，那也出去走一走，不能在家躺着吧？
是。
是不是？
Well, I think you're quite diligent.
是
是吧？
好好保重自己。
In general, a lot of elderly people in China actually live pretty active and fulfilling retirement lives. Retirement homes aren't very common here, and they're not really something people want. When my grandma eventually reaches that point, she'll come live with us instead. That's just how most families here think about it. And as you can see, there's really a lifestyle for everyone. In the summer, hundreds of elderly people come here to swim in the river. In the winter, they skate on it. And even in autumn, you still see people exercising, singing, dancing, just staying active in their own ways. And a lot of them are surprisingly fit. Growing up in the 60s and 70s, life was tough. People worked hard. There wasn't much excess, and that kind of lifestyle stayed with them. Their pensions are also fairly stable. Many receive around 3,000 to 5,000 RMB a month, and some, like former teachers or government workers, can get even more than that. Healthcare is also affordable and very efficient. It's not always the most comfortable or caring system, and it can get a bit crowded, but it works perfectly and it gets things done. So, for many elderly people here, life is actually quite good, and honestly, after everything they've been through, they've earned it.
中央大街。
到中央大街了。
啊，对，中央大街防空纪念塔。
对，防空纪念塔。So we are at the central street. Well, if you translate, it will be like the central street. And here we actually have the monument of floods, basically, because there was a very big flood. I remember in the 1970s or something. And we are at the walking street, so it's got a lot of Russian-inspired architecture. There's a Hotel Indigo just behind me, and you can see that it's so Russian-inspired. It's quite cool. So this whole city is a lot of Russian influence, and as we can see as we go down, there's a lot of tourists as well. A lot of the northern people from China and all over the world, really, they like to come here and experience the ice. Harbin is known as the city of ice and snow. The street has a lot of history, but not only that, there's a lot of history infused with modernity. And like the screen in the back there, it's like a 3D screen showcasing Huawei's newest triple fold phone. And that's just really cool. We ended the day in a Huawei store, just a short walk from her home. You can tell she's nervous. Everything here feels really unfamiliar to her, almost intimidating. Come, have a look at these cell phones.
我最适应的就是老年手机就不错了，买个400多块钱是吧？
这就400多块钱，你看，
这是啥手机？这是老年手机吗
？499。
这个
499，你看。
这全都能看着嘞。
对，那499。
能使住吗？
能，便宜的499块钱。
那也能使住啊！
你看，
能使，他们说能使7年。
7 years? Most people change every year. 你们上去看看，上去看看。For her, a phone that costs 499 RMB and lasts 7 years is completely normal. So when she's surrounded by all of this, it's not exciting anymore. It's more of an overwhelming feeling. And you can really see it here. She suddenly feels out of place. You can tell she's genuinely amazed. This is something she's never really experienced before. But at the same time, it feels completely out of reach to her. In her mind, this car costs 600,000 or 700,000 RMB. But in reality, it's more closer to 200,000. 差不多。
没个60-70万。
没那么贵，我估计20多万吧。And that gap between what things are and what things feels like says a lot about how fast Chinese society has changed. For some people, it all moved forward before they even had time to understand it.
你看哪有岁数大来的？
是。
就
小年轻。
你看一卖手机的那些小伙长得多帅。再来岁数大，你上这些地方人都知道你不买人。
哎。
动人东西人烦你，我都不敢动人。看我上那高档东西，我就站瞅瞅，都离老远瞅，别上你跟前瞅。你也不买，你瞅人啥呀？我看你也不像买的样。你要像你这背着包吧，背着。
Do you think you'll embrace technology? What if I got you a robot one day?
我害怕呢。
你害怕机器人？
在祸害机器。 我以后再说以后。对，明天的事儿今天不去，你好吧？就在江院这嘎达不咋，就在小酒站，那离家近呢。
对。
玩够了，看天亮，赶紧天亮回家。
对。
就这时候我这个天我都。
Around what time do you usually go home?
夏天4点钟吧到家整点饭吃点饭，完了那个吃完了再洗洗啊。在6点钟吧就不出厨房了。7点钟新闻必须看，这新闻联播、天气预报，完了看完了以后焦点访谈了，得看看就看着干啥？你待着干啥呀？要不就待傻了，连国际新闻都不看，看看国家大事。8点9点吧，8点半9点。
Later on, we got on a public bus, and you can see she's noticeably happier here. By the end of the day, you start to notice a pattern. She lives a very simple life. She doesn't spend much, doesn't ask for much, and doesn't want to trouble anyone. For her, life is about being frugal, staying healthy, and doing what she can for her children. Thank you so much for watching a day in the life of a Chinese grandma. My Chinese grandma.
哎呀，穿暖不暖和？
还行，还挺暖和的。
你给我打电话，我就能找着。